All right, so now we're getting into the shoulder, and specifically we're looking at overhead position. So I feel like a lot of times we get stuck here, where then all of a sudden we compensate to get overhead by arching through the mid back to get this overhead position. What I really want to see is, hey, can we get to the point where our ribs stay stacked, arm gets overhead, and bicep gets by the ear? So in order to do this, we have to understand a little bit more about the shoulder. The shoulder isn't just this ball and socket joint that we see that gets irritated, bothers us. There's much more layers to it. So starting at like diaphragm, understanding how the diaphragm plays a role into the ribs. The ribs also attach onto the T-spine, so T-spine playing a big role. And then we have the scapula that sits on the rib cage. So we're going to look to, and then you have the glenohumeral joint. So understanding there's different layers to this, we're going to look to attack kind of a couple of those to work on this overhead position. So starting at like T-spine, ribs, diaphragm, we're going to tie all those into one movement. It doesn't have to be isolated. We can couple things together. So speaking of that, we're going to look at like the T-spine rotation. So being on all fours. Being on all fours in this position, we've all done, hey, hand on the back of the head, we're going to rotate down, we're going to open up. And as much as this is great, because as far as the T-spine goes, rotation couples with extension. So it's great to just have that availability. The part that we really miss is using our diaphragm and breathing into that position. So being here, what I want to do is, as we're going down, big breath in. Hold that breath until we get to the top. Let it out and really try and capture as much range of motion as we can get. Breath in, hold, let it out. You'll see as we start to get into that, and I want 8 to 10 reps on each side. We don't have to do a bunch of sets of this. 8 to 10 reps on each side, just seeing that, hey, every time I breathe, we get to a stopping point, we let the breath out. We're able to access a little more range of motion. And it's touching those edges of that range of motion, which helps improve that T-spine rotation. And you might realize, hey, I'm favoring one side, where it's like I have more rotation this way, more rotation that way. It might mean, hey, this is an area of more concern. We might do a couple extra reps, but just trying to capture that range of motion back in the T-spine. So it makes it easier for the next portion, getting those scaps overhead. So as we start to think of the shoulder again, thinking that, hey, we have rotation of the arm. As the arm starts to come up overhead, we really actually, the scap doesn't really move until we get to about 60 degrees. As we get to about 90, then now all of a sudden the glenohumeral joint stops moving, and everything above this tends to be scap related range of motion. As we're looking through this, a big limiter tends to be our lats. So I got a band on the rig here. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna get this arm into the band. Hand goes on the outside so we can create leverage. Lat's an internal rotator. So if we put the band on the outside, it forces us into external rotation, getting more length through the lat, which can limit that. And I wanna start to actually torso, trunk, everything stays stable as we start to lean into this. We're gonna get to a point where all of a sudden I wanna relax and arch to get range of motion. Don't do that. Keep the ribs down, stay engaged through here. Let this kind of start to hang out and just get a good stretch through the shoulder, through the teres, through the other rotator cuff muscles on the back side of the shoulder. So from here, once we get a stretch and we're kind of like, hey, this is maxed out, I'm not gaining anything else. Let's start to pair our breath again and start pairing contraction. So breathe in, breathe out. Let ourselves sink into it. Once we've gained all of that, we'll start to do a little contract, relax. So I'm going to put pressure into the band, not trying to win, but just match the pressure of the band for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Let it sink. All of a sudden, what we'll notice is that that position that used to kind of be stuck here, now we can start to get a little more range of motion. And I want you to test and retest from the beginning after every single movement, see what's changed through that. Last one, because we go through opening up T-spine, opening up the shoulder in this overhead position. Now we want to actually create stability around that joint so we can capture and own it and use it. So using bands, I like an external rotation. Press out for this. Let's see, I don't want to go too light. I don't want to make it applicable. So 12 pounds, also not necessarily the biggest guy. But what we're going to do is, hey, our starting position isn't necessarily hands in front of us. It's elbows at our side. If anything, a little in front. Don't think about squeezing all the way too far back. So maybe a little in front of our shoulders. From here, imagine there's basically a skewer going through my elbow into my shoulder. Externally rotate, press out. So everything that we've just lengthened, I want to start to fire and use. There's no point in gaining range of motion if we're not going to own that range of motion and make us more stable. So this 90-90 rotation press overhead allows us to get that shoulder, the rotator cuff of the shoulder, re-engage, press overhead and use muscles, because this is a position we really care about being good at. I don't care if like, hey, if we can get here and stretch, it's fine. But at the end of the day, we want that range of motion so we could press overhead at the gym, so we could throw a ball with our kids or do whatever it is that we need to do overhead, grab something out of the pantry, you name it. It's all a value. So basically activate that muscle afterwards. It'll pay off tremendously. But that's what we need to do to help at least start. And there's multiple ways, and we'll go over a lot more later. But that's a good start to work on this overhead position and get us back to where we want to be.